Okay. Prabhupada traveled by train from Bhubaneswar to Calcutta, and then 4 days later drove from Calcutta to Mayapur for the Gora Purnima festival, which was expected to attract more than 500 devotees from around the world, the most ever. After he left the Mela, I stayed back with several other devotees to continue our activities, then break down the camp. I had become attached to the simple life at the Mela, with hardly any amenities, just the mode of goodness. In that purified atmosphere, the relationships among my God brothers became especially sweet and congenial. Sometimes we would lay back on the sand at the site together and talk about Srila Prabhupada and Krishna consciousness. Without the burdens of our regular managerial responsibilities and the designations that went with them, we felt more relaxed and free, brothers in Prabhupada's service. In that sense, I did not even want to return to Bombay. I was happy at the Mela site. On the last big bathing day, an incident took place that I thought illustrated the Vedic culture of the festival's participants. It was cold and rainy, and we needed a rickshaw or taxi to go from the camp to the city, but we couldn't find any. Hundreds of thousands of people had already left and taken all the transportation. We walked in the mist for a few miles until we saw a lone rickshaw by the side of the road. It appeared empty, but when we looked closer, we saw the driver hiding underneath, sleeping. We woke him and told him we had to go to Allahabad, but he refused to take us. We offered to pay double the price, but he said, "No, it's raining and I'm feeling tired." Even when we offered 10 times the price, he refused. He told us that at 3 that morning he had walked for many miles in the cold rain and had taken bath in the Triveni. Huge crowds had been pushing and shoving, but he had tolerated everything for the sake of a dip in that at that auspicious moment. I couldn't help but admire the man. For mukti, he was ready to do great tapasya, but he couldn't be bothered for the sake of earning money. Far out. Mayapur, new section, and Pandal at Azad Maidan. Back in Bombay, I wrote to Prabhupada. For so long, I have been serving so many masters, and my mental chariot has been carrying me from one body to another. But now I have found my perfect master, and I'm jubilant to be engaged in your service after our talks at the Kumbh Mela. I really feel that you are my best friend. I feel firmly convinced in my position as Krishna's servant, and I feel renewed strength and determination in my activities, knowing that so many of the ideas I had for spreading Krishna consciousness are actually Krishna's ideas as confirmed by your divine grace. My absence from Bombay allowed others to assume responsibility, so I am insisting that they continue as they have been doing. Actually, they have been doing nicely. I will advise them and concentrate on preaching and overseeing your desires in all areas. I learned from the Kumbh Mela that I have to be prepared to do anything to see that your will is served. 3 days later, Prabhupada replied, "Yes, train the others in responsibilities in Bombay and go on as you are doing." I thought back to the day at the Kumbh Mela when Prabhupada had been surrounded by members of the media and press, all asking the same question. What is the significance of Kumbh Mela? And Prabhupada had answered that the real purpose was sadhu sangha. Sadhu sangha, sarva shastri hoy, lavamatra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. The verdict of all the scriptures is that even by a moment's association with sadhu, a pure devotee, one can attain all success. After 2 weeks in Bombay, I proceeded to Mayapur to join Srila Prabhupada and the other devotees for the festival. Although Prabhupada had been unwell when he had left the Kumbh Mela, I had hoped that he would recover his health in Bhubaneswar. But in Mayapur, I saw how sick he was, and my concern and anxiety over his health increased. His condition had worsened considerably. He was no longer able to climb the stairs on his own strength. His disciples had to carry him up on a chair. One day he collapsed and almost fell off the stage as he was stepping down. He was already more than 80, and I couldn't help but wonder what might happen. Despite his illness, however, Prabhupada carried on with a busy schedule. The GBC members began their annual meetings, and after each day's session, they submitted their proposals to him in his room for amendment and approval. When they voted to replace the temple president of Calcutta, Prabhupada said, "So you have all agreed? If you have agreed, I have no objection." But when Ramaswar admitted that they hadn't discussed the decision with the person concerned to find out his feelings, Prabhupada said, "So do that. Before posting it, it should be discussed." Tamal Krishna said, "His feelings should not be." "No," Srila Prabhupada agreed. "Everyone should remain in jubilation. That is wanted. You cannot make depressed. That is not good." Later that day, a few leading devotees came to see Prabhupada. "So, your GBC meeting?" he inquired. "They're going quickly," Hridayananda replied. "There was no fight?" "Just a little fight." "Don't fight," Prabhupada said, chuckling. "Then everything will be spoiled." "Not very much fight this time," Hridayananda assured him. "It was more peaceful than before." Prabhupada laughed. "Yes, for Krishna's business, why should there be? Why there should be. Even if there is fight, it should be mock fight, not real fight. Then it is all right." "Most of the fights aren't personal," Gargamuni said. "They're just differences of opinion." "That will go on," Prabhupada acknowledged. "Then majority vote. Then it's decided. What can be done?" he concluded. "With great force, preach Krishna consciousness." When I went to meet Prabhupada the next day, he inquired about various practical matters in Juhu, including the tenants, whether any were vacating, and whether any were creating difficulties. I informed him that none were planning to vacate soon, and that the pending court cases against the illegal occupants were bogged down in the judicial system. "The tenants are gaining more and more respect for us," I added. "After all," he said, "they are human beings." Yes, I agreed. They see the book distribution, the construction, and the time factor, that we are still pushing on, not going away. There are many factors. They see that prominent people are also appreciating our activities. Actually, our movement is all encompassing. I've seen from Swarup Damodar that we can dress up your teachings in different garbs and present them to anyone, and they will be convinced, unless they are very envious. Ironclad demons, they will remain. Prabhupada. But innocent people, they can be convinced. I broached the subject of the Pandal program I was arranging for Prabhupada in Bombay. One thing I'm concerned about for the Pandal is that many of these leading personalities would want to meet your grace, your divine grace, I told him. But at the same time, it might be very strenuous for you to come to Juhu every day. Not every day, Prabhupada said. The other alternative, I continued, would be to arrange a place closer to the Pandal, but then it would have to be with a member like Kartikeya or someone. That is near Pandal, Kartikeya's house. It's about 15-20 minute drive. That is also good. If your health permits, and if you could come every day, we could arrange leading people for all those days. Yes, yes. And it would enthuse them. Yes, Prabhupada said. Bombay is a good place for propaganda, for making our movement popular. Yes, people are modern and advanced there. Devotees everywhere were concerned about Prabhupada's poor health, and for 2 days Tamal Krishna presented him a proposal. Srila Prabhupada, we were wondering. One time when you were ill in Vrindavan, you requested that the devotees in our temples around the world could chant kirtan all the time, 24 hours, till you recovered your health. So the GBC was wondering whether we could request that again. Request again for that, yes. Jai, tomorrow. Bhavo Sadachotra Manovi Ramat. That is the real remedy for any disease. Very good idea. Prabhupada was quoting Bhagavatam 10.1.4. Descriptions of the Lord are the right medicine for the material disease. He had referred to the same verse in a letter to me when I was sick in Calcutta in August 1971. If you are feeling tired, you may take rest. Your body is very valuable. It is dedicated to Krishna, so you must take care of the body very carefully. The best medicine is to rest and chant the Hare Krishna mantra, along with the doctor's prescription. The Hare Krishna mantra is Bhavaushadi, the panacea for all material disease. On Gurpurnim, March 5, Prabhupada gave first initiation to more than 200 disciples and second initiation to another 100. Wow. He was too ill to give a talk or even chant on the new initiate's beads, so he had some of his sannyasi disciples chant on the beads for him. Many brahmacharis were begging to be given sannyas, but Prabhupada said it had simply become a fashion to enter the renounced order. In response to his concerns, the GBC drew up guidelines for candidates, including 1-year waiting period and further 1-year proving period. Huge crowds poured into our site, heard the talks and kirtans, saw the exhibits, and enjoyed the prasad. Some devotees took advantage of the throngs of people to distribute Prabhupada's writings, and though most of them were from Europe and America and didn't know Bengali, they managed to hand out many small books. Prabhupada decided to stay in Mayapur rather than proceed to Vrindavan with the devotees for the second part of the festival. And soon Mayapur was quiet again, with only a few visiting devotees. 2 weeks later, news of the favorable New York court decision appeared across the front page of the Times of India, and Tamal Krishna read it out to Prabhupada in his room. Big cap letters. Hare Krishna movement is bona fide religion. Washington, March 18. The Hare Krishna movement was called, quote, a bona fide religion, unquote, yesterday by the High Court Justice, who threw out 2 charges against the officials of the movement for, quote, illegal imprisonment and, quote, attempted extortion. The charge had been proffered, how do you say that? Proffered by an angry parent that his son, as well as another disciple, had been held by the movement illegally and they had been brainwashed. Paragraph. Quote, the entire and basic issue before the court, said the justice in dismissing the charges, is whether the two alleged victims in this case and the defendants will be allowed to practice the religion of their choice, and this must be answered with a resounding affirmative. Said Mr. Justice John Leahy, the Hare Krishna movement is a bona fide religion with roots in India that go back thousands of years. It behooved Merrill Kreschauer and Edward Shapiro to follow the tenets of that faith, and their inalienable right to do so will not be trampled upon. The separation of church and state must be maintained. We must remain a nation of laws, not of man. The presentiment and indictment by the grand jury was in direct and blatant violation of the defendant's constitutional rights. The justice said that it appeared to the court, quote, that the people rest their case on an erroneous minor premise to arrive at a fallacious conclusion. The record is devoid of one specific allegation of a misrepresentation or any act of deception on the part of any defendant. The justice said, the freedom of religion is not to be abridged because it is unconventional in beliefs and practices, or because it is approved or disapproved by the mainstream of society or more conventional religions. Without this proliferation and freedom to follow the dictates of one's conscience in this search of approach to God, the freedom of religion will be a meaningless right as provided for in the Constitution. Any attempt, be it circuitous, direct, well-intentioned or not, presents a clear and present danger to this most fundamental basis and eternally needed right of our citizens' freedom of religion. The Hare Krishna movement has been under pressure from various groups, and this judgment is expected to stop some of the harassment in which it has been subjected in recent years. Now we have got a sound position, Prabhupada said. Yes, Tamal Krishna agreed. Hare Krishna movement is a bona fide religion. He laughed and said, you couldn't pay for an advertisement this good. Now my mission is successful, Prabhupada proclaimed. In 1965, I went there, and this is now recognized after 12 years. I was loitering in the street. Nobody cared for me. Alone carrying the books. Now organized Bombay as our headquarters and New York as sub-office or headquarters in America. You can see that the Bombay newspaper is better than these Calcutta papers, Tamal Krishna said. Oh yes, certainly. Thinking of the Bombay Pando program, Prabhupada asked Sarup Damodar, so you are also coming to Bombay? Yes, Srila Prabhupada. But our most auspicious sign is this. Hare Krishna movement is bona fide religion. It is preceding your arrival in Bombay, Tamal Krishna said. It's announcing your coming, practically, very prominent. And Prabhupada agreed. Yes, I found that in Bombay there is good scope, Sarup Damodar added, referring to the potential for spreading Krishna consciousness there in scientific terms. Oh yes, Prabhupada said, organize Bombay as the center of your activities. Especially when our big hall is finished, we can hold several lectures. Daily, at least twice weekly, we shall hold lectures and call scholarly people to understand. Do it nicely. Let us go there and organize. At least for 1 month, we shall remain there. Let us organize. A lot of senior devotees are still there, Tamal Krishna said. They've gone from here to Vrindavan, and now they're in Bombay waiting for your coming. Therefore, I'm going, Prabhupada said. In spite of my so many inconveniences, I'm going there. You want to stay in Bombay until, is there any date? Tamal Krishna asked. I don't want to stay anywhere. I want to work. Staying, I've stayed in big palaces, big cities. That is now complete. I have no other desire. How long do you want to work in Bombay? So long as there is work. There is no end of it. Our Bombay should be organized. Work is our life. There is no question of how as long as possible. Krishna gives us good opportunities. Now we should take it seriously. It's not joke. Hare Krishna movement is bona fide religion. Very important decision, Tamal Krishna said. The judge is a serious man in the courts, very old and conservative, but I think he's sincere. Yes, he's God believing. This statement that he makes at the end, that any attempt, be it circuitous, direct, well intentioned, or not, presents a clear and present danger to this fundamental basis and eternally needed right of our citizens. Eternally needed right, freedom of religion. So we should send him a letter of congratulations. May God bless you for such a right decision, right judgment. Live a long life to serve God. Now work very strenuously, Prabhupada instructed the devotees. You are all young men, and somehow or other, a dead horse, you have given life. Otherwise, the last fortnight I was thinking I'm dead now. I was thinking like that. Now life is finished. Life can be finished at any time. That is not wonderful. To live, that is wonderful. If my life is finished, that is not wonderful. Nobody will lament, oh, he was an old man, 82 years old. But if I can live for some days more, that is wonderful. If I die, that is not wonderful. Krishna is wonderful, Tamal Krishna said. Krishna is wonderful always. And you are wonderful, Bhavananda added. I am wonderful so long as I serve Krishna. Otherwise useless, no value. I can serve Krishna. If I can serve Krishna, then I'm wonderful, certainly. We don't want to become cheap wonderful. We want to become really wonderful by serving Krishna. That is our mission. Krishna is wonderful, undoubtedly. Who can become more wonderful than Krishna? Latak parataram nanyat. Always remember Krishna is wonderful. Don't take Krishna very slightly, like one of you. That is foolishness. Krishna is wonderful always. He is the most wonderful person, and he can do anything wonderful. He can also give wonderful guru, Surab Damodar said. Yes, Guru Krishna Kripai Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. It is Krishna's wonderful mercy that one can get guru. Guru Krishna Kripai Pai. Don't forget for a moment or think that Krishna is insignificant. He's always the most wonderful. He can do anything, whatever he likes. This is a fact. You may believe it or not believe. Who cares for you? Fact is fact. And appreciating that Krishna is wonderful makes one perfect. You know that story, the cobbler and Narada Muni? Yes, Tamal Krishna said. The cobbler believed, yes, Krishna is wonderful. And Narada Muni immediately certified, yes, your salvation in this life is guaranteed. The cobbler had his conviction, yes, Krishna is wonderful. Krishna can do anything. Krishna can draw an elephant through the hole of a needle. Why not? It's possible. That faith made him perfect. If Krishna is not wonderful, is it possible for me to do all these things? What am I? The senior devotees around Prabhupada felt that he was too ill to travel and that he should stay in Mayapur and recuperate. And Saurabhi, Saurabh's name after Prabhupada awarded him sannyas, wanted more time to finish Prabhupada's quarters in the new towers in Juhu, so he wired Prabhupada and requested him not to come yet. But I had been arranging the Pandal program for Prabhupada at Azad Maidan. Yes, Maidan? Maidan. In central Bombay, and I was appealing to him that he should. On March 16, I sent him a telegram in caps. Your room's ready. Pandal beginning 23rd evening city. Accommodations arranged. Chief Minister, Mayor, High Court Judge, other dignitaries attending. Earnestly request your presence for this glorious event, health permitting. And 2 days later, I sent him a letter. Here in Bombay, Srimati Radharani has helped us arrange a very nice pandal, and many important persons will be coming. The schedule of chief guests who have so far agreed to attend is as follows. March 23, Sri V.S. Page, Chairman of the Legislative Council of Maharashtra. March 24, Dr. Srimati Anjana Maghar. Srimati or Shriman? Srimati. Sheriff? Really? A lady sheriff? In Bombay? Very progressive. 1977. Lady sheriff. Ooh. March 25. Justice J.M. Gandhi, High Court, Bombay. March 26. Srimati Lata Mangeshkar, vocalist. 27th. Sri Manohar Joshi, Mayor of Bombay. Ooh. And there he is, Mr. Chavan, Chief Minister of Maharashtra, and Ram Nomi. Wow. The interest shown by these important personalities suggests a very good opportunity for spreading Krishna consciousness in Bombay, India, and the world. The people in general have been very absorbed in the election campaigns for their political leaders, forgetting the words of Sri Prahlad Maharaj, Vatirna Krishna Paratak Svatova, etc. Actually, the only leader who can solve their problems is Krishna, or Krishna's representative. Therefore, we have chosen as the theme of this Pandal's discourse, the real leader Krishna. Actually, the only hope for these unfortunate persons is to smear upon their bodies the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee like your divine grace. Prabhupada considered my desire and the opportunities for preaching and decided to go. As Tamal Krishna wrote in his diary, Prabhupada was very eager to go to Bombay. He wanted to give the citizens of Bombay a true conception of the essential nature of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada had Tamal Krishna phone me to give me the theme of the Pandal. Quote, "The modern civilization is a failure." Prabhupada. The only hope is Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada. On March 18, Tamal Krishna sent a telegram from Krishnanagar. Prabhupada arriving Tuesday, 22nd, IC 273 at 1350. Have rooms ready in whatever condition. Tamal Krishna. When Prabhupada landed in Bombay, he was too weak to walk down the stairs from the plane. So the airport staff arranged for him to be lowered by hydraulic lift. On the ground, the disciples with him assisted him in walking. Responding to Harisori's surprise that he had even decided to travel, Prabhupada said, yes, even up to last night, there was no chance of my coming, but still somehow or other, we are here. And he was happy to see the devotees waiting to receive him. On the way to the temple, Harisori informed Prabhupada that his new quarters were not ready yet. There was no toilet or running water, no doors or windows, and the workers were still finishing the walls and floors. Nonetheless, Prabhupada insisted that he would move in, which made the devotees who knew the conditions there quite anxious. They didn't see how anyone could possibly live in the quarters in the state they were in. Hare Krishna land was teeming with activity. Under Saurabhi's direction, 200 workers plied their construction skills throughout the complex, some cutting red sandstone slabs to cover the concrete superstructure of the guest house, others chipping away with hammers and chisels to make ornate columns and arches for the temple, masons and interior finishers working on the theater area. Although much work had been done, much remained. The guest house did not have windows or doors. What to speak of curtains or furniture? And the temple itself was pretty much an unfinished structure. As had been decided earlier, upon arriving, Chitrakar drove Prabhupada's car past the Twin Towers towards his old quarters at the rear of the property. As they passed the towers, Prabhupada turned silently, watched them go by, then looked straight ahead. A group of devotees with mridangas and kartals were outside the apartment building performing kirtan, and some of the brahmacharinis, celibate female students, stood ready to throw flower petals before Prabhupada as he walked from his car and up the stairs to his apartment. Other devotees were ready upstairs with paraphernalia to perform foot bathing ceremony and arati. Much of the day had been spent cleaning his rooms, which were now decorated with garlands and scented with incense. When the car pulled up to the old three-story building, the other devotees got out and retrieved the luggage from the trunk and brought it upstairs to the apartment while Prabhupada sat in the car. When everything was ready, one of the devotees opened Prabhupada's door and informed him. But Prabhupada wouldn't budge. Why have you brought me here? Chitrakar repeated what other devotees had already told Prabhupada. Your quarters aren't ready, Srila Prabhupada. They will take a few more days to finish. This is not my house, Prabhupada said. My quarters are there in the tower. I will never stay in this apartment again. Call Saurabhi Swami. Take me to my new quarters. He spoke calmly but firmly, without raising his voice, but everyone could tell that he wasn't happy. So, the devotees put all the luggage back into the trunk and Chitrakar turned back to the guest house. As they were driving, Saurabhi came running up alongside the car. Why my quarters are not ready? Prabhupada asked through the open window. Running to keep pace, Saurabhi said that he needed a few more days to finish and asked if Prabhupada could please stay at his old apartment until then. You do what I say, Prabhupada shouted. If I don't go there now, it will never be finished. I want to go now. Yes, Srila Prabhupada, said Saurabhi. And he rushed off to see if he could get the elevators working. Meanwhile, the devotees who assembled at Prabhupada's old apartment ran to be with him as he entered his new quarters. Saurabhi couldn't get the elevator to work. So the devotees carried Prabhupada in a narrow palanquin up the 5 flights of stairs. The quarters were cluttered, and the floor was covered with thick layers of greasy, gooey marble polish. There were 20 workers polishing the floors and another 40 hammering away at the paneling. And in the midst of it all, the devotees came rushing in with mridangas, kartals, and arti paraphernalia. The workers stopped and just stood there, unsure what to do. There was no furniture or place for Prabhupada to sit. But he got down from the palanquin, walked into the main room, looked around, indicated a nearby space, and said, I will sit here. And he began to sit down right in all the muck on the stone floor. But Saurabhi quickly took off his chadar, found a somewhat drier corner, and threw it down beneath him. Then Prabhupada said, now you can do what you like. Phew. Saurabhi bathed Prabhupada's feet and then offered arti, though he was nervous. So nervous, he kept fumbling with the ghee lamp, and the flame kept going out. The devotees sang Sri Guru Charna Padma, trying to avoid slipping on the greasy floor. It was really ecstatic, Ambika remembered. It was so far out that there we were in Prabhupada's new apartment in all the slush. Can picture it. We were jumping up and down, slipping and sliding. And we had this ecstatic kirtan for Srila Prabhupada. And he was smiling and throwing flowers at us, just as if he had been in a beautiful palace. It was amazing to see Prabhupada sitting there on the floor in the middle of it all so nicely. Some devotees began washing the floor, and others ran to find serviceable piece of furniture to provide Prabhupada with a desk, a seat, and a bed. Prabhupada just sat cross-legged and directed the devotees. I want the table there, and the bed there. This goes over here, the bureau over there, and I want the kitchen things over here. It was really funny, Vijeta recalled, because everybody forgot their position in the society. That I'm a sannyasi, and I'm a Mataji, and I'm a temple commander, I'm the president, I'm a book distributor. The only thing anybody could remember was I'm Prabhupada's servant, and he's giving instructions. It was amazing. I saw Mother Aditya giving instructions to Krishna Goswami. Wow. She's this little lady. She was handing things to him and telling him, this goes over there. And he'd run and put it over there. It was really incredible watching all this going on. It was great. Surabhi had been saying that it would take at least another 2 weeks to finish Prabhupada's quarters, but with all the devotees and the construction crew there, and inspired by Prabhupada's presence, we accomplished in 2 hours what might have taken weeks. The quarters were not completely finished, but at least Prabhupada could move in, and very quickly the devotees cleaned the quarters and made them livable for him. I marveled at Prabhupada's potency, and the devotees surrendered service. Observing the entire scene with satisfied look, Prabhupada smiled at everyone and said, thank you very much. Then, most of the devotees left, and Prabhupada met with 9 or 10 of his leaders and personal staff. We all sat with our heads hanging down. Sarvabhavana recalled, we expected a thunderstorm from Prabhupada because his quarters were so messy and noisy. Prabhupada had his head hanging down also. We sat like this for several minutes in pin drop silence. Time lost all meaning. Finally, Prabhupada raised his head and spoke in a soft and tender voice. All of you are trying so hard to please this old man who gets irritated so fast. I'm old, and on top of that I am unwell, so little things irritate me, but all of you are so tolerant. He went on like that for about 10 minutes, Sarvabhavana said. I thought I was the only one who was crying. When I looked around, I saw that everyone had tears in their eyes, including Prabhupada. It was so sweet, so wonderful. How can you not love such a person? Prabhupada was pleased with the quarters. No one can design like Saurabhi Maharaj, he said, and he spent the night there. But the next day, he agreed to move to Kartikeya Mahadevi's home for a week to attend the Bombay Pandal program and to give Saurabhi enough time to ready the quarters, which he and I promised Prabhupada would be completed by the time the Pandal program was over at the end of the month. I was relieved that he was giving us more time to prepare his facilities and happy that he would be comfortably and conveniently situated at Kartikeya's place. I had arranged for large banners to be posted around the pandal with what Prabhupada had defined as the theme. The modern civilization is a failure. The only solution is Krishna consciousness. On two previous Bombay Pandals, our two previous Bombay Pandals had been at Cross Maidan. Maidan. Emphasis on the first syllable. Maidan. Okay. Which was an ideal location with heavy foot traffic, especially during rush hours, as pedestrians walked from the Churchgate train station to Flora Fountain and other places in downtown Bombay and back. This time, however, Cross Maidan had not been available, so we settled for Azad Maidan, which, though it could be reached by car and with some effort by foot, it was not on many pedestrians' usual route. Also, India had just held general elections and people were still preoccupied with politics. The Congress party had been routed at the polls, and Indira Gandhi had lost her seat in parliament and was about to resign. The Janata Party alliance would be choosing a new prime minister in the next couple of days, and some citizens who might otherwise have attended the Pandal program were caught up listening to news reports, attending rallies, and talking about national politics and Indira Gandhi's fall. So, in contrast with the crowds of 15 to 20,000 people who had attended the first Pandal, far fewer, only a couple of thousand each day, attended this one. Leaving for the Pandal from Kartikeya Mahadevi's flat, Tamal Krishna and Bhavananda would often go ahead, and then Prabhupada and Kishora Kora Gopinath Das, later Bhakti Chiruswami. Hey, Kishora Gopinath Das. Kishora Chora Gopinath Das. Huh? Kshira Kora Gopinath. Okay. Who was assisting him would follow. Yeah, Shira Kora, okay. Prabhupada's health had deteriorated considerably. He was frail and needed assistance to stand and walk. Devotees would carry him on a palanquin from the flat to the car, from the car to a room behind the stage, and from there onto the stage, where Bhavananda would help him onto his Vyasasan, and he would sit, hunched over or reclining, almost motionless. We were surprised he even came, Rachitambara Dasi later commented. He was so ill and obviously very, very weak, but he was there, and that was already something. On the first day, Prabhupada opened by asking Bhavananda to recite 2 verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, which, he said, is the theme of our Krishna consciousness movement. Bhavananda began with Canto 2, Chapter 3, verse 18. Do the trees not live? Do the bellows of the blacksmith not breathe? All around us, do the beasts not eat and discharge semen? He then read the purport in which Prabhupada criticized the modern conception that life was meant for maximum sense gratification and countered that, quote, the Srimad Bhagavatam affirms that life is not meant for so-called economic development or advancement of materialistic science, for the hedonistic philosophy of eating, mating, drinking, and merrymaking. Life is solely meant for tapasya, for purifying existence, so that one may enter into eternal life just after the end of the human form of life. The problem Prabhupada had written was that, quote, materialists want to prolong life as much as possible because they have no information of the next life. Therefore, they want to get the maximum comforts of life only in this present life, thinking conclusively that there is no life after death. This ignorance about the eternality of the living being and the change of covering of the material world has played havoc in the structure of modern human society. Consequently, there are many problems multiplied by various plans of modernized man. The plans for solving the problems of society have only aggravated the problems. Even if it is possible to prolong life more than 100 years, advancement of human civilization does not necessarily follow. Prolonged life without spiritual value is not very important. That was 18. Here's 19. Men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses praise those men who never listen to the transcendental pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna that deliver from evils. Prabhupada's purport focused on materialists, animalistic tendencies, and training. Quote, modern university education practically prepares one to acquire a doggish mentality, to accept the service of a greater master, like the dogs. After finishing a so-called education, the so-called educated person moves from door to door with applications for some service. Mostly they're driven away, informed of no vacancy. As the dogs are negligible animals and serve the master faithfully for bits of bread, similarly, one serves a master faithfully without sufficient rewards. The human form of life is so important that even the demigods in the higher planets sometimes aspire after human body on this earth, because the human body only, in the human body only, can one easily go back to Godhead. And in spite of having obtained such an important body, if one does not reestablish his lost eternal relation with Govinda, Krishna, he is certainly a fool who has forgotten his self-interest. When Bhavananda had finished reading the verses and purports, Prabhupada delivered his lecture. He explained that we living entities were parts and parcels of God, but that somehow we had fallen into this material condition and were changing bodies. Prabhupada continued, so, Anartha Pashamam Sakshat Bhakti Yoga Madhoksa Jay. Anartha, we living entities are part and parcel of God. Mame Bangsa Jiva Bhuta, some way or other, we are now fallen in this material condition and we are changing bodies. This is the first instruction in Bhagavad Gita. There's so many commentators on Bhagavad Gita, but nobody has pointed out what is the real business of Bhagavad Gita. The real business is, as Krishna says in the beginning of his teachings, Dehi nosmin yata dehe. This is the first instruction, that we are changing body on account of the spirit soul. We are changing our body every day, every moment. Komaram at yovanam jara. Komaram yovanam jara. I was a child, you're a child. We have now changed our body. Similarly, I'm an old man. Some of you are also old men. We have changed bodies. So what kind of body are we going to have? What change is going to take place? People have no knowledge. So at least in India, this condition should be changed to keep people in ignorance in this bodily concept of life. I belong to this community. I belong to that community. I belong to this body. I belong to that body. No, they should be educated to become Brahmabhuta. Brahmabhuta Prasanatma. Samak Sarveshu Bhuteshu. India's education is not to distinguish that here's an Englishman, here's a German, here's a Christian, here's a Hindu, here's a Muslim. Samak Sarveshu Bhuteshu, because India's realization of knowledge is Brahmanubhuti, Brahmabhuta. Then one comes to the standard of Brahmabhuta knowledge. He'll be happy. It is not possible, of course, for everyone to realize Brahman. That is not possible. There must be an ideal institution. Unfortunately, at the present moment, it is very difficult to find out where is that ideal Brahmana. But there must be. Krishna says. Our Krishna consciousness movement includes this. Chaturvarnamaya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. There must be division. There may be only a small number of Brahmins, but there must be ideal Brahmins so that people may learn that here is the first class Brahmin, here is the first class man. Let us take instruction from him, not from the so called politicians. This is Indian civilization. Formerly, even Lord Ramachandra, who was the king, he was God himself still. He used to consult learned Brahmins, sages, saintly people, saintly persons for government duties. The divisions in society must be there. So there are many things to be done in the Krishna consciousness movement. Don't take it that simply chanting Hare Krishna, chanting is the prime factor, because if you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then gradually everything will be clear in your mind. Chaita Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Dvapanam. The whole world is suffering on account of all contaminated things accumulated within our heart. And the Bhagavad process is to hear from the right persons. Srinvata Swakata Krishna. So our request to all of you is that you take this Krishna consciousness movement chanting very seriously. Don't neglect it. This is India's gift to the whole world. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. Bharata Bhumite Haila Manusha Janmajar. India's mission is para upakar, not to exploit others, but to do good to others. And what is the best thing to do? A human being has got the opportunity to understand his position, but he's being kept in darkness like an animal, and his only business now is to eat, how to sleep, how to mate. This kind of ignorance, at least in India, we should not take up. Let us combine together. That is my request. Take it very seriously. In America, they're now taking it seriously. Perhaps you know. Recently, there was a judgment by the Supreme Court in New York. They admitted that the Hare Krishna movement is a genuine religious movement. There was great opposition against this movement. Our students were being kidnapped, and so many harassments were going on. But by the grace of Krishna, I went to America in 1965, and now it is 1977. After 12 years of struggle, I was loitering in the street. Who cared for me? But it is now being recognized that here is a movement. Now we have to utilize it. I always put this logic to my students. Andha Pangu Nyaya. That for the benefit of the whole world, America, money and Indian culture should combine. The audience burst into applause. That will bring benefit to the whole world. At the start of Prabhupada's lecture, his voice had been barely a whisper, and he had been practically immobile, not even moving his hand. But as he spoke, he became more animated and increasingly forceful. His body would become straight, Bhakti True recalled, and finally he would be sitting erect as a bolt and shouting, chastising. As it was going on, Jayadvaita remembered Prabhupada was getting more enlivened. Soon he was speaking with full enthusiasm. He had so much energy. By the end, practically he was roaring. He wasn't pulling any punches, Aditya Dasi said. He was really giving it to them. Lokanath too was struck by the force of Prabhupada's preaching that day. How strongly he was preaching, like roaring, scaring his fellow citizens. Scarring, trying to wake them up, maybe was scaring, and shake them up. I don't remember any other time Prabhupada was as strongly, forcefully, emphatically making his points, reminding them, Bharata Bhumi te hoila manusha janma sartha kari par upakar. You are born in India. If you want to make your life perfect, don't lead the life of cats and dogs. Do par upakar. Take the Krishna consciousness. The opportunity is there, Prabhupada told the crowd. Now let our Indian leaders come out. Take this movement very seriously. There will be great advantage to the people of the whole world. This kind of situation to keep them in darkness, that I am dog, I am hog, I am American, I am Indian. No, aham brahmasmi. This is real conception of life. What is the difference if a bulldog thinks I'm a bulldog and a man thinks I'm American or I'm a Brahmin? What is the difference? The real thing is knowledge. Don't keep this knowledge locked up in your books, but spread it. My only request is that the leaders of India should now come forward to join this movement and take advantage for doing good to the whole world. Parupakar. Again, the audience applauded. Bharata Bhumite Hoila Manusha Janmajar Janma Sarthakari Kara Parupakar. Thank you very much. The applause swelled into a thunderous ovation. If you have any questions, I announced after a moment, we request you to ask them now. A lot of information has been presented, a lot of food for thought. This is a very important movement, very important subject matter. So we request any of you who have any question at all to please put that question and we can have further discussion. Who will be the first? Asking questions is a sign of intelligence. What is the most important thing in life? One woman asked, to understand yourself. Prabhupada answered, if you misidentify yourself that you are this body, then you're finished. Tato Brahma Jigyasa, the question should be, what am I? Am I this body or something else? That is the most important thing. That is the beginning of Vedanta Sutra knowledge, Atato Brahma Jigyasa. The animals cannot ask, am I dog or am I something else? If a man is kept in darkness, then that he never questions, am I this or that? Then he is animal. So the most important thing, according to our Vedic culture, is to understand oneself, what I am. The next person asked, isn't such education taxing? Do you think you're not taxed? Prabhupada countered. Why should you not be taxed for the proper gain? You are being taxed for so many nonsense things. Why not be taxed for the proper thing? That is intelligence. What is the importance of health in life? A gentleman asked. How do you advise people to maintain health, and how does it connect to your mission? Where is health, Prabhupada? Prabhupada challenged. First of all, you have to understand that however healthy you may be, you must die. Then what problem have you solved? Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha doshana darshanam. Krishna says, it is not my manufacture. However you may try to remain very healthy, nature's law is that you must die. How can you help yourself after all? You have to meet death. Janma mrityu jara vyadi. So long as you have got this material body, there's no question of health. You must suffer. You may be very great scientists, but nature's law must act. Prakrite kriyamanani. Foolish people, ahankara vimudhatma, bewildered by such false egotism, think, I am improving health. I am improving this. I am doing that. He is improving nothing. He is completely under the clutches of material nature. He cannot do anything independently. That is the law of nature. Whew, so heavy. Can we solve political problems with this religious basis? Another man asked. Yes, all problems will be solved if you become Krishna conscious. What is the simple solution to understand the soul? Another asked. I would like to understand the soul. This is very simple, Prabhupada answered. But we are educated so foolishly that we cannot understand. Krishna says, Bhumirapo nalo vayu kamano buddhirevacha biname prakritir ashtada. Arjun, there are 8 material elements, list them. Aparayam, but these are inferior elements. Itas tu viti me prakritim param. Beyond these, there is another superior element. What is that? Jiva bhuta mahabaho yayedam darya tejagat, the living entity, is the superior element. Without the living entity, what is the value of this bhumirapo analo vayu? This distinction we can experience every day. Here is an important man. Now he's finished. And if you kick his face, he won't protest. What is wanting? The jiva bhutam mahabaho. That living force is wanting. Anyone, any child can understand that something is wanting. Therefore, this important body is nothing but a lump of matter. Anyone can understand. Everything is explained in the Bhagavad Gita, but people are not serious to understand. That is the difficulty. Uh-oh. At one point, when a man came from the audience, came right up to the front of the stage and began to challenge Prabhupada, Prabhupada responded, quote, like a lion, Rachi Tambura later described. It was so amazing that from this slumped over, completely weak state, he suddenly looked like the strongest person around. His eyes were full of fire, and he completely smashed this man and convinced everybody else in the audience. People in the audience were so inspired that when Chinese devotee, Taittiriya, went into the crowd and distributed 27 sets of Prabhupada's books. Everyone was so fired up after hearing Prabhupada speak so strongly that they were buying the books like anything. Finally, Prabhupada said, that's all. Now chant Hare Krishna. Both at the Pandal and at the flat, Prabhupada was strong in his criticism of anyone who did not accept and follow Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. He condemned materialistic civilization, calling it a dog or anthill civilization. A dog ran on four legs, a man ran on four wheels, he explained to Kartikeya Mahadevya, Tamal Krishna Bhavananda, and the others gathered in his room one day. But if the man has no spiritual knowledge, he was no better than the dog. What is the difference between an anthill and a skyscraper building, he asked. The ants are living in holes, and we have also made some holes. In Africa, we saw big anthills, 20-foot anthills. Bhavananda interjected. If more people come, Prabhupada said, I shall describe all this anthill civilization. Health. Nonsense. What health? He'll be kicked out immediately, referring to the man's question from the Pandal. Who is healthy if he is going to die? I am so healthy that I'm going to die tomorrow. This is their health. Illusion. Almost every one of those questions was about the body, Tamal Krishna pointed out. Krishna says, Nahanyate hanyamani sharire, Prabhupada quoted. That is health. When you do not die, even though the body is destroyed, that is healthy life. What is this healthy life? This body and everything are finished. Actually, everything is not finished, but people are kept in that ignorance. This body is finished. Everything is finished. But that is not the fact. Krishna very clearly says, Na jayate mriyate va kadachin. People do not even question how it is possible. But that is the most important question. Trying to see where I'm supposed to end. I don't think I marked where I'm supposed to end. Where did we start? How far back?
431 is where we started.
431?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Well, we're already past our quota. I've been going 20 pages. Yeah, I was supposed to end with Prabhupada, now chant Hare Krishna. That's where I was supposed to end. So we'll, he also criticized the United Nations, World Health Organization. Rascals. Who is healthy? Everyone is going to die. They do not think. Where is health? Such foolish things are going on all over the world. So organize something real and spread it, slow but sure. We shouldn't be impatient to compromise, Tamal Krishna said. Just to. There is no question of becoming impatient, Prabhupada responded. You have got a diamond. If there is no buyer, that does not mean that you have to throw it away and sell something else. Yes, diamond is diamond. People must know, here is a diamond. If I want it, I must pay the proper price. That I want to establish. Why should Indian culture be lost in this way? I'm not a cheap patriot. I didn't want to give Indian culture I want to give Indian culture to the whole world. I am not going to cheat people. Taking Bhagavad Gita and speaking all nonsense. I want to present Bhagavad Gita as it is. That is my mission. Why should you cheat? We will try to follow your message properly, Kartikeya said. Okay, we're going to end there. That's 23 pages, right? Yes?
431. Yes, Master.
Okay. Why should I cheat you? Okay. I don't know what happened to the other marker. I had a nice system, but it didn't work out. Okay.
Thank you.